A ham sandwich and a missed virtual class. What are these things? They are catalysts to two of the most significant turns in my life. So my brief today was to share practical insights on how to be a change maker. The thing is, I am an accidental change maker. I had no defined aspirations of creating change. I kind of accidentally started to have an impact by doing what matters to me. So my hope today is to share with you a story that shows you that there is such a path as accidental change maker. But my primary goal is to share with you 3 learnings that have been crucial in pushing me towards being a change maker. Maybe you can find yourself on that path and lean into it also. Of course, I didn't know these epiphanies when I was in the thick of the events that I'll use to illustrate them to you. These learnings came only after time had passed and in hindsight. So let's just dig right into the first one. All right. So the first learning, it's okay to change your plan. It's also okay to not have had a plan to begin with. Right. So when I was 7 years old, growing up in Accra, Ghana, my homeland, I knew I wanted to be an engineer. Now, how I knew this is probably not what you're thinking. Imagine a huge outdoor family gathering. There's uncles and aunts and cousins and great food and enjoyment. And the arrival of one particular uncle triggers excited screams and high-pitched trills, sounds I didn't know my aunties could make. It was pandemonium, but in a good way. So the next thing I know, all of us kids are shoved into a long line, winding line, like we're trying to get into the hottest nightclub. And we don't know why we're in line, but we're all super excited because all the grown-ups are super excited. What's happening? So it turns out at the end of the line is an uncle, and each of us is to shake his hands. The goal is to have some of his intelligence rub off on us. He went to MIT, and he is an engineer. So 7-year-old me didn't quite know what MIT is or what an engineer is, but if it gets you this reception, that's what I was going to do. Right? So that became my plan. So I worked towards this plan, and over a decade later, I got accepted into MIT. By then, my reasons for going were slightly more noble, but you know how the plan was hatched. So far, everything was going to plan. Sophomore year came, and you had to declare a major. I was pretty settled on being a nuclear engineer, but just to cover all the bases, I went to various orientations that the other departments were doing. Right. So I was just being thorough, and it was at one of these check the boxes for, yes, I came to this department, that my life path was altered by a ham sandwich, right? You guessed it. So the Department of Material Science and Engineering at MIT had a very compelling presentation about the versatility of their degree, like physics, chemistry, biology, all of that together. But what tipped me over was this spectacular sandwich tray at the orientation. It was new information to me and pertinent information to me. I thought, if there's a department that, and I've been to many of these others, this department really cares about its students and is serving as such really good food, this is the home that I want. So I declared material science and engineering, dropped nuclear engineering, material science and engineering as my major, and this is the decision that led me to IBM, Almaden Research Labs, where I decided to major in economics. So the head scratches can happen right about now. I just told you how I was settled in engineering. I'm bringing up economics. So you see, at the research labs in California, I got to play with an atomic force microscope. I'll spare you the details, but it was awesome. It was awesome. The atomic force microscope is so special that even at MIT, undergraduates were not allowed to use it without supervision. And here I was spending time with one all day in this cold lab with this cool suits, taking measurements and looking at things at the nanoscale. I was giddy going to work every day. But strangely, thinking about the exciting world of nanotechnology made me introspective about other things. I thought about all the technology that we already have and how we haven't yet used it to resolve basic challenges in the world, like getting everyone access to education or people dying from diseases that we know how to cure. So I decided that I was now convinced that I needed to study development economics. So if you're confused, I was too. I mean, the plan was going just the way I thought. I'd had this profound experience, and yet what it had convinced me was I needed to change and do something else. So I took to studying economics as a second major. I still did the engineering. I mean, that was too cool to drop. And I really loved it, right? But I decided to do a doctorate in economics instead of engineering, as I thought I was going to do. I had expected to be a nuclear engineer and spend my entire life in a basement lab somewhere. So this was quite a change. I totally changed the path that I had thought I was going to be on, and it was okay, right? So it's okay to change the plan. I did it. Now I'm going to cheat a little because I'll use the same story to illustrate the two other points. So if I may have the second point, right? So the second learning is phrases like it's scary, it's difficult, it's risky are totally okay as descriptions. Where you get into trouble is when you try to use them as reasons. Because you see, a description is simply information about what something is. A reason, any of these as a reason, tends to become justifications for why not to do the thing. So stick with them as descriptions and you're probably going to be good. The third learning, let's get the third learning up there. Ignore the labels. Ignore the labels that you make for yourself, that others make about you. Labels of what a change maker should be, right? So now for the story, that's where I gleaned these two bits of wisdom. It's 2020. We all know what's happening, 2020. My kids and millions of others get a taste of being on computers and they're hooked. There's no going back. I think, what's all the brouhaha with screen time? There's so much educational content on the internet and it's fun and they'll learn. I'll just turn them onto the content that's fun and educational, and it'll be great. They'll be learning and having fun, not even know it. I didn't know what defeat I was setting myself for. I did look for solutions because I was like, how could we not be using all these resources? But the only solutions I could find were about blocking access, right? I'm like, she's 3. I'm not trying to block her from sites. I want her to get to places. At one point, I had 9 alarms between my phone and the Alexa alarms to prompt me to go and check what the kids were doing and navigate them to something useful. So one day after my daughter missed yet another kindergarten class, and it was because I'd forgotten to sign her in, even though I knew it was happening, I decided something has to change, and I decided to do some research into what it'd take. Now, these words here are a sample of what I heard from actual potential investors, and it's funny because initially they were friends and family, or friends and friends of families. You are not young enough, you are not male enough, you are not technical enough, You're not wealthy enough. Why are you going to do this, right? I think I heard this from so many well-meaning people that I trusted that I almost began to believe it. And yet the problem still persisted, and I wasn't seeing anything coming to solve it. So I think at some point I was like, these young male technical entrepreneurial visionary people better do something about this, and quick. It wasn't happening, so at some point I decided to ignore the labels and go for it, right? So now I'm the founder of an education technology company. I'm doing the hard work, and it is hard. I know that in a couple of years it'll be an overnight success, like most we hear of. I want to leave you with just one final thought. Assess where these lessons may be relevant in your own life, and maybe they could guide you to lean into places where you are accidentally about to make a change you don't even know about. But as you do that, embrace originality. I like to be super original in all my mistakes. There's no point reinventing some of these mistakes that maybe these lessons could help you learn. And I hope these lessons propel you towards creating meaningful change on purpose or by accident. Thank you.